Let's transition into this because we need to. We're going to talk about the EWC and all the drama.
This is going to be another one of these like 4-hour marathons, man. Yeah,
nope. It can't be today, guys.
Whatever.
But I think with the EWC, one of the things we need to discuss is like the drama that has gone with Caedrel and co-streaming EWC. And I think what Caedrel didn't realize was he got offered just a titanic bag for this, guys. Titanic.
I agree with Rich's wrath, though. I think actually, surely once you're already a millionaire in the bank, like how, like, again, I can only speak for myself. I don't have millions in the bank, but I imagine there's diminishing returns on every million after the million.
Of course there is. Of course there is. And it's also, Richard, I mean, there's so much true about this, which is like what I was calling out on social media as well, which is that it's a different story to, you know, quote, need the money. Like, look, I don't agree that anybody, quote, needs the money, unquote. Okay. I just fundamentally don't agree with that. My personal take is that people are fucking cowards. And if you need the money, you must not have any confidence that you could do anything else with your life to make money, which is ridiculous. Like, here's the thing. All of us, we turned down the money. What did we do? Made our own content. We struck out on our own path. Is that scary? Sure it is. But you know what?
Which, to be clear, didn't make us $6 million.
Sure.
Just want to reiterate that for everyone out there.
But here's the thing. Caedrel and other content creators are doing it on their own. You know, Caedrel is a self-made personality.
Absolutely.
And you know how he did that? Very savvy control of his own brand, very savvy control of content, an insane grind. Think about this guy's grind. He was he was on the LEC broadcast, and then he was also co-streaming like 2 Asian, he was co-streaming every other game, basically. He stopped doing that now because obviously it's an insane schedule, but he did that for years, right? Years.
Very intelligent interactions with Riot as well to make sure.
Yes. Well, yes. And also, the other thing that he did that nobody else was doing was that he was on TikTok. I know this sounds insane, but people in esports have not done a very good job, particularly in League of Legends, of being on TikTok, the most important platform in the year 2025, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
still waiting on my boy Donny to fucking ban it. I wish he'd hurry up. I don't think he's going to for some reason.
Well, weird. That just like fell out of the news cycle. Do they just get like infinite
Turns out, by the way, for
reprieves?
Democrats, the one thing Donald Trump is behaving like a king on is his refusal to enact the ban on TikTok, which has been voted for. It needs to happen
by Congress.
By Congress. And he just,
that's a different podcast.
The super secret podcast we record in the dark.
We'll announce LFN politics when you guys want it. Anyway,
we missed the window. Trump's out of office soon. What's the point? Trump bumps over, boys.
So anyway, like the point is like TikTok. What's weird is that nobody else is really using it, and Caedrel was blowing up on TikTok, and I think that was like a lot of his success. But he's been really good about taking advantage of all the platforms. Now, when we look at this, he is a multimillionaire, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's not like if he doesn't take this bag, his career is over. It is a 5-day tournament. It's a 5-day tournament. He can still cover the rest of the calendar. So the thing about Caedrel that I think he hopefully learned, I hope he learned out of all of this, is that, to your point, Richard, you can't be the everyman nerd and take this and pretend you know nothing about it because it's so blatant. Like the greed is just so extreme.
He's going to learn a few things. I don't think he has learned anything from this. I'll toss this up to Duncan because he hasn't talked a while. But here's the first thing I think he will learn. I think he'll learn that hardcore fans will listen to any old shit that comes tumbling out your mouth as long as it doesn't challenge their worldview. And that's the only way a fan can become disenchanted with you and not want to be your fan anymore. If they don't care about Saudi, this won't move the needle at all, right? But what I do think he's also going to learn is, I think he's going to learn a thing about being in a rock and a hard place. And what do I mean by that? I mean, put it this way, I very strongly suspect probably the right phrasing, which with me, hopefully that has an implication. I think Caedrel... I think the expectation from Riot was Caedrel was going to co-stream this event. The EWC is very important to Riot right now. And you're probably going to be like, what? That makes no sense. It's a third party. We literally did an episode where it was just slipped in there. Like, they're going to expand the games. They expanded the games. EWC is going to be doing league. It's going to get bigger next year. All of this has come to pass. It's all there. The breadcrumbs are all there. All you have to do is pay attention. Well, listen, Riot, we've seen what's happening with their league, what they like to run. You know, EWC is a big fucking deal for them right now, and particularly offloading as much of their failing esports programs onto Saudi is a big deal. And every single number that goes into that fucking database that they can use to fucking corral and make it look like it's been a success is important. The EWC not being co-streamed by Caedrel would be a disaster. And so that, I think, is what Caedrel has learned, that sometimes you can't say no. Not because you can't, like physically. Of course you could. You could go, fuck you, Riot. Fuck you. Do you know who the fuck I am? Fuck you, Saudi. Stand with my LGBT homies, right? But what he's going to quickly realize is, well, we're just not going to give you co-streaming rights. If you're going to fuck us on this big deal, you're not going to get it down the pipe, and that's that. And I think he's had a bit too much of an insight into how the sausage gets made, Duncan. And I think it's shit him up, frankly, based on his reactions. I think understanding you are more than just a guy in a room talking about a video game you like, and all of a sudden, if you want to make a business at this, you've got to be business. I think he's learned some fucking hard lessons, and unfortunately, in my opinion, I think he's gone the wrong way on them.
I mean, I've got two things to say on this. One, to touch on the latter part of what you were saying there, I actually think one of the most hilarious but also quite depressing things about Caedrel and others who have like about turned on the Saudis and now work with them is there's a vibe of not, well, you know, maybe it's not actually as bad as I thought it was. Now I've looked into it, or, you know, oh, what? No. The main vibe I get is, remember at the beginning of fucking Lord of the Rings, that amazing scene Ian Holm does where he goes, why shouldn't I have it to the ring?
Yeah,
that's the vibe everyone gets. What they all do is they turn around and go, but everyone else is getting these big bags. It's like, you said you don't do it for moral reasons. Yeah, but he's getting one and he's getting one, and no one would flame him if he got one. It's like, I don't know what that has to do with you and your moral position, which is what you based the whole thing off. And then the other thing, and I actually think it's only Caedrel has suffered in this particular sense. Do you know what? Because he, by the way, quick shot, if he doesn't do EWC, you wouldn't even know he existed anymore. He's not in League of Legends anymore. So I actually think he's the only other person who would have taken the backlash, but the joke is the only way you remember he exists in League at the moment. Caedrel actually seems to be the only person who's taken the Saudi bag, who might actually, and this isn't I didn't come up with this, by the way, someone else did, but I don't know if they said it publicly, so I don't know if I'm not going to out them. But someone suggested this to me. I thought, what a brilliant point. They're the only person I've seen where it actually seems to have done tangible brand damage to them doing this. Like, because Caedrel's shtick, remember, was I am the most liked, most popular course.
There it is.
It wasn't. Like, Dom's angle always is like, well, I'm edgy. And the joke is, because he actually is edgy, follow the train logic, dickheads. That's why he's the only one who doesn't do EWC, because that would be the most punk thing ever, wouldn't it, you cretins? To be actually co-signed by every fucking political regime and money man in the world isn't particularly punk or edgy, is it? So you know what? Dom's actually on brand. He's figured out his fucking brand. He actually does do that. He has the whole thing of, I will go against the grain. Caedrel's whole thing was, I am the ultimate Venn diagram of fans. Caedrel is the centre point of the Venn diagram. Everyone likes me. In fact, more importantly, you don't need to like me, just don't dislike me. Well, you know what you managed to do? You picked one of the only topics where you didn't, this is where I know he didn't cynically sit down and focus group. You didn't realise there's a massive amount of your fan base basically were the dickheads 2 years ago going, I'm glad bloody all that Saudi money isn't in league like bloody say yes. And then you turned around after essentially giving overtures to them, some indirect, some blatant, about the idea, yeah, I'm just like you, mega left wing, love gays, and all that. And by the way, there's another thing I'll just quickly bring up. Can we please, bearing in mind I've been in this industry almost my entire adult life, stop the insane mainstream noob boomer take that esports is full of right-wing people?
It's
probably
mental.
As you'll find out if you ever go to the FGC, it's probably one of the most left-wing young people spaces in the entire world of entertainment. Bro,
and it always
any sports
has been
fan base is going to be way more. So already, by the way, if you're going to do that and you're trying to be the most popular, the one thing I'd immediately tell you, mate, is don't counter-signal checks notes. Gays and women, you fucking lunatic. Like, that's basically like they're the fucking gods of the left wing. Like, so I also do think it's an underrated aspect. You could actually argue, Monty, quite literally, that this guy was printing so much money doing all the tournaments that aren't EWC, it might actually, in the long run, not financially, like the raw bottom line, but in terms of his brand, that might actually have done him damage, mate. It might actually, he essentially could have taken, and also, he could have had the millions from the rest and had the W from this. He could have done the Dom and got the W too.
Yeah. No, I totally thought about that Bilbo moment in Lord of the Rings too. I was going to bring that up myself, but it's like, because basically, you have to consider what would have happened if he didn't do it, right? And maybe Richard's right. There was some vague threat by Riot. That's certainly a possibility and would inform the... but we can't suppose that... We can't operate on the assumption
I'd put a body part on it, not like a little finger or something. Double entendre.
Your pinky toe. Look, it wouldn't surprise me either, just knowing Riot. But that said... I think that if you look at the effect of not doing it purely from a PR thing, like nobody would have cared if he didn't do it. You know what I mean? It's not like he would have lost this massive conservative Muslim fan base that he had because he turned it away. He could have literally done what he did last year and just be like, I need a break, guys. Totally reasonable within the schedule of League of Legends to like take a week off, given that you, as a co-streamer, you can co-stream like 100 hours a week in this game and still not get to all the games, which is insane in and of itself. But you know, and also it just you can tell if you know how these things work, how cautiously he plays it, because all those clips were running around of him being like, well, you know, the Saudis check all your social media and they vet you. So I'm just gonna say it. I fucking love gay people. By the way, that is who they want to sports wash with. They want you to say that. They want
Can't be a useful idiot if you don't hold those opinions in the first place. I heckin'
love LGBTQ. They want you to say that and then take the bag and represent them. Because in doing that, they look progressive while being not at all progressive. Because by having this figurehead, just like Team Liquid and Steve and their little rainbow on their jerseys, and then they censor it out of the Saudi version, right? You're not going to say that on the stream of the Esports World Cup. But as long as people think you believe that, then they start to, you know, those beliefs about you bleed into the Saudis because you're oh, they must be cool with Caedrel saying that stuff about the gays. That's what they would never care about anybody saying, I love gay people. What they care about is you saying, what could have nailed Caedrel is him saying, like, what about those Saudi human rights violations? Wow, it's crazy how many people they executed. That's what they don't want you to say. That's what they're vetting for.
By the way,
and that's why, by the way, as part of this is why they make you scrub your social media as part of your deal. It's why they made him. That's why they made Caedrel delete a tweet where he put the Chad guy on Chronicler, because you know what Chronicler was talking about? Human rights violations.
Yep.
Okay. And like he put a GIF. They made him delete a GIF. Like that's what that shows you what they're like. Did they make him delete a clip? I heckin' love the gays. Guess I can't get hired by Saudi now. No. Like they made him delete the fucking GIF that he tweeted to Chronicler.
But this is also the worst part about it. Like Duncan did a good job of highlighting it in his video, which is ultimately right. Look, I have seen many a person in esports have to do the climb down. Like real talk, like I just need the money, right? Simple as that.
Sure.
And look, I'm not like Monty. I'm gonna say this. I don't think you're entitled to earn a living from the thing you love. Or I don't think you're entitled at all.
And especially without sacrifices, Richard. Especially without, it's like you can be entitled, but like where are you willing to go with this?
Yeah.
Right? You know,
totally
people I hate this excuse that people use. People are like, but Monty, I have a family. It's like, I have 2 kids. You know what I did? I fucking sold my house and left Los Angeles and cut my cost of living so I could do LFN and stay in this business without having to deal with working for the Saudis.
Doing a regular podcast with a person that cost you millions, I might add.
Well, I mean, there's a business reason to do that now, Richard. And also, we've patched up our previous differences and realized that a lot of it was misunderstanding.
Yeah, but the joke is, Monty, he cost you millions from your team. Then you were like, well, you know what? Fair folks. Let bygones be bygones. Let's make a company together. Oh, sorry, Monty, I'm going to need you to not take millions again.
To be fair, Monty would...
Twice, you've done it to him twice.
Monty would probably be conservatively, like $5 million wealthier.
He'd have a pretty nice number, yeah.
Look, Richard, I don't care about that because unlike other people, the ends don't justify the means. Sure, and I totally see your perspective on these things. And I don't want the blood money either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were joking about it on the last episode, but I'm like you too. I would rather die right than rich. That's who I am.
I even told you, I always say it. Another reason logically, once we knew where the funding came from, it doesn't make sense to take it anyway, is it doesn't work for the brand identity that we're people with integrity who criticize people. You can't do that and then be funded by the bad guys. So I also think the joke is, even though all those dickhead idiots again tried to be like, Last Free Nation, what is this, some sort of bloody prepper
militia group?
By the way, the most generic, neutral name ever as well. It's not even vaguely loaded with all meanings.
Also,
the joke
as we've noticed, that now, prophetic.
Well, that's the point. Yes. That actually, inadvertently, that was just because it was a cool name because we know what pirate utopias. It actually has ended up being the one place where people actually can have these opinions. That's the maddest part.
Listen, I wanted the name the Boogaloo Boys, but for some reason,
it's a question. It's a question when I was criticizing Caedrel, people were like, well, what about all those people at LFN who work there? I'm like, I don't care. Here's the reality of LFN. It's a company. It doesn't have a political stance. People might, and I'm going to voice my opinions about this, but other people may have different ideas, and LFN's going to continue to grow. We're going to announce a bunch of new hosts soon. Is everybody going to agree on everything with each other? Of course not.
We'd be doing this for free. Let's be real. It's who we are now at this point. I can't speak for you. I would do this for free. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to turn up and talk into a microphone until the last person leaves the room. That's me.
Yeah. So it's nobody's ever going to agree on anything. And I don't give a shit what other people do in the rest of their lives and with their own social platforms. You can be for whatever causes you want to be because you're a person. Look, I can tell you, LFN's not going to take the Saudi money. We're just not going to do that. But we're not going to, LFN isn't going to tweet.
Even though, yes,
I disagree with Saudi Arabia.
As you figured out at home, people who work with it, LFN might take some of the money, but that is an independent action. By the way, I've come up with the new slogan, Monty. The new slogan, it's straight fire. Again, it's more from about 10 years ago back, but you can't spell whataboutism without tism. Because you know what, mate? That's pretty good, isn't it? It's pretty good. That is pretty good.
That's great.
That is pretty good. And the reason why I came up with that is because, mate, I even try. I'm too fair with people, believe it or not. It's why I get annoyed with stupid internet comments. Because I'll try and actually see what the person's point they're trying to make is, then decide if it's stupid, right? And what I've realised is some of the complaints and deflections on this topic are just beyond stupid. They're just people doing ad absurdum logic. I'll give you an example, right? So let's see. I'm going to call out someone who's been hypocritical. I know. I'll pick the biggest core streamer in the entire world whose stream, when turned on, can have more views than the real English language broadcast with sharks and legendary figures. I'll pick that person, right? And then what I'll do is I'll do a massive 1.5 hour video where I show you all the times they've lied, been disingenuous, deleted things. No. What I'm actually supposed to do, Richard, is that's fucked up and hypocritical of me. What I should do is I should get Dagon, who as far as I know might have ever said nothing, and I should make a video. I'm guessing it'll be 2 minutes long. I have to make a video about him, but no, wait. To do the Dagon video, then I need a Yamato Cannon video, then pause, then I need to... Mate, so essentially now, to arrest fucking El Chapo, I have to arrest every dime bag drug dealer in the world, and if I can't do that, I'm the evil one. This whataboutism has gone so far and stupid, it's mental. It's mad, isn't it? It's so mad, though. That logic will never make sense.
I mean, they call him Pedro, so I guess it makes sense, right? El Pedro.
It's all fucking coming together. No, I mean, look, it is ridiculous.
It's a great point.
I mean, one of the things that, look, we didn't...
And by the way, spoiler, you guys commit... Everyone tells me I have fuck all views. Make your own video about your Yamato Cannon. If you've got all the straight fire material, go for it, homie. I don't think you've got anything, by the way. I've looked it up. There's fuck all.
Is the thing as well, we are not... We've made our opinions very, very clear. We understand it is a complex world to walk through without blundering into, well, I've just aligned myself with a nightmarish human rights violator. It's actually easier than you think.
So here's the thing also that people don't mention. Okay, so Caedrel can afford to turn this away, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. On the Dagon point, you're right. I mean, listen, I don't know anything about Dagon's bank balance, but I'm going to wager I'd rather have Caedrel.
Look, here's the other thing. The LCK casters, it's not like they can't afford to turn this away either.
Oh, by
like,
the way, do you want to know the detail? Just to make sure it's known on here, because if you don't watch some of the insight, you won't know this. The craziest reason that it's whataboutism, they bring up Yamato Cannon, by the way, is Yamato Cannon didn't take a bag. He just did it for free because he wanted to watch the games.
Yeah.
Like, can you not see a material difference between being paid to the bag? You know that whole blood money thing? There is no blood on any money. He isn't receiving any, you fucking idiots. Like, Caedrel is literally, and by the way, I mean literally, by the way, there's another point I keep making that people keep missing. I should do like a fucking cartoon or something. It's the only way you'd understand. If they literally still execute people now and in massive numbers, how close to the venue does the execution have to be before it ever gets uncomfortable? My joke for real is, would they have to actually swing the fucking sword? I don't even know. I don't actually know how they do the execution. I'm just imagining it's like Aladdin. Swing the sword, chop the head off, and would the blood have to actually spray it and Faker go like, oh, fucking hell, and back on Jungle or whatever? Like, what would have to happen before it ever get awkward for you guys? That's what I want to know. Like, how would we go with this?
Here's the thing. No one can ever articulate the line. You know what I mean? Like, I've asked people, I'm like, okay, so if this isn't the line, what is the line? I don't know. It's like, nobody can articulate
I'll
the line,
know it when I see it, Monty.
Oh God! And yet, here's the insidious thing about the way Saudi Arabia does things is that they just make it more comfortable over time, so the line keeps moving. That's the whole purpose behind what they do. Anyway, like, but back to the caster thing. As I've said before, the thing is, I have said I think, and I still believe this, casters should do the event, and the reason why is because if you don't do it, you get iced out of all of ESL. It's not like you just get iced out of Riyadh, right? Yep. You don't just get iced out of Esports World Cup. It's like, well, this person isn't being very nice to our owners, so they're now blacklisted from all ESL events. And as we've said earlier, Riot themselves is like creeping closer and closer and closer to the Saudis because they want to unload the esports broadcast onto them. So if you are a caster, you probably should be really concerned about this. And the other thing is, especially for the LCK guys, especially for our LFN contributors, people like Wolf, people like Dagon, people like Yamato, these people don't have opportunities to do international tournaments because Riot is a fucking piece of shit. Like, they will not hire these people for MSI and Worlds, right? And the reason why, just so you guys know, just going to put this out there right now, is because those spots are decided in advance, and your favorite LCS casters negotiate year-long deals that include Worlds and MSI. Now, why? A really good question at this point in time.
And it's part of being a made man as well, Monty. It's part of the package. Like
it's part of being a made man. But I mean, people used to say, well, the LCS casters are there because people know them more, and those are the ones that people are familiar with. Well, what is it now, guys? Because LCS is less viewed than LCK English, so objectively, people should know them less than the LCK casters, the English ones. And so why wouldn't you just hire the LCK casters who also simultaneously know the teams better, who go deeper and win all of these tournaments, and they're more popular? So why are we hiring the LCS casters at this point in time? And as I said on Twitter, it's just because the best way to do that, the best way to work at an international event, is just to live in Los Angeles and do LCS. What is the reason behind that? Those teams don't make it very far. The broadcast isn't viewed anymore. So what the fuck is the reason? What is the reason? Right? But that's my point, is that the only way to work your way into these international events, the only opportunity that you ever have, is to do Esports World Cup. And as long as you aren't the one out there who's being hypocritical, who cares? We've always said, if you take the bag, just take the bag and own taking the bag. And this is what Caedrel didn't do. He makes all these excuses. Well, I didn't go to university, therefore I can't understand ethics. What? Oh, man.
No, listen,
like,
I want
what?
this response.
Like I didn't go to Caedrel. The people who invented philosophy didn't go to fucking university. Aristotle wasn't out there being like, look, well, I didn't graduate from the fucking University of Athens.
Okay, You wouldn't need a degree. Your words. I love gays. By the way, really reductive. Speaking on behalf of the LGBT community.
I know.
Speaking on behalf of them, I'm going to just play my fucking B card, right? Fuck you. Boom, I had it the whole time. I'm playing it. We don't want you to fucking talk about us like that. We're good, right? Like, for real. Like, it's really patronizing and
Also the most lowest hanging fruit ever. Hey, guys, do you know what? I think they should have, like, peace.
Are you gay? Well, technically bi, but yeah, this is my boyfriend. Woo! Love it. So liberating. I'm just being me. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, it's pathetic. It is like that scene in Get Out where the fucking white guy goes, "I'd have voted for Obama again if I could," to the black guy. You are pathetic right now, bro. So, like, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. I want to make it abundantly
line, by the
clear. But yeah, Get Out, what a film. I want to make it abundantly clear, like, if you're trying to ingratiate yourself to a particular group, just don't make it condescending. Just be natural. We got our own shit going on. We're not a monolith either, by the way. We all got different opinions. Crazy to think we're just people, like, mad, right? So, you don't have to do that. You don't have to condescend. You don't have to patronize. But then again, back to the matter of philosophy and ethics. Your words, you said that. You said, "I love the gays." Great, very happy for you. Glad you love gay people. You should love all people. Maybe not human rights violators, but as we found out, Caedrel has a big heart.
Maybe not MBS. Maybe not him.
Right, well, he's got a great smile.
That's even the angle.
That damn smile.
That's the problem also with the fact that a lot of left-wing people are anti-religious, because that was your get out. What you should have
said,
done,
"I love all people." Exactly.
You should have said, "What would Jesus do?"
Yeah,
you should have said, "But didn't Jesus spend his time with tax collectors and prostitutes?"
Yeah.
You could have done that angle too, Caedrel. That's basically what Steve Arnzett's trying to pretend he's doing.
Right. But then, okay, you said, "I love the gays," right? Now, if you love people, you don't want them to be harmed, right? So to then work with a state that criminalizes them, persecutes them, in some cases executes them, this is incongruence. This isn't compatible. Now, all you have to do is actually say, "Look, I don't hate the gays." But a big pile of money is more appealing than any affinity I could have to a gay person that might be offended about me taking that bag of money from somebody that would execute them. That's it. It's really easy to negotiate. By the way, you will have gay fans that will forgive you. By the way, I'm not just talking about LS.
You can even use the LS argument of, like, they're still going to kill them anyway, whether you do the stream or not. That's totally accurate, by the way. It's true.
I guarantee you there are probably many gay, bi, trans fans of Caedrel that will happily come out and go, "Listen, I'm fine with any decision he makes." Because again, remember, we're not a monolith, right? So that's cool, right? That's totally cool. But what we observe is when you say this apropos of nothing, and then you immediately do something that makes that statement seem like a lie, it makes you, dare I say, a little bit sus in most people's eyes. It makes you circumspect. It makes you suspect. It makes you look like you're not a person of principles. And everyone's had to go through this crucible and learn this, because there is no argument. These two things are not compatible. The argument that you are a fucking ally, another term I despise, because you go to war temporarily with an ally to temporarily fix a problem. You don't love an ally. You're not related to an ally. You can't be a sibling to an ally. You're an ally. Is a temporary marriage of convenience. In many ways, the adoption of the term ally really gives the fucking game away, and why so many people find it really grotesque to performatively say you're with us, and then as soon as the money comes along, well, so we're just left to get fucking stoned again, are we? Wicked. Cheers. Thought we had all them allies. Yeah, they're not around. But anyway, the point being, right, that all you have to do is just be honest about where your priority lies on your own hierarchical totem pole. That is it. That is all it is. That's all people want. That's all anybody ever wants. You don't have to say 100% like you are. Yo, what's the cool thing I could say in this situation? I'm totally that. Would you contradict that for $100,000 a day? Well, of course I would. Like, it's too obvious. People are not going to forget that, forgive that, move on from that. And to try and argue that, like, because every other day I pretend is mental. It is mental. I pretend, but for the 5 days I'm getting paid to not pretend, then I'm a good person. And if you do genuinely feel like I'm talking about, like, you said you love people, right? Like, I think it's very easy to walk the walk on this. Like, I stood out against the U.S. military. I've called out China for what was going on in the Xinjiang region. Anywhere where the people are being oppressed, I am going to call it out. People think I'm a Zionist. I've called out Israel. I just also don't support terrorist networks paragliding into fucking kibbutz and fucking killing children because, you know...
What a wild take, Richard.
I know. It's very easy to have moral clarity.
By the way,
on
notice what Richard's nailing here is he's actually exposing indirectly, by contrast, that none of these people have any strong emotion. Because you know what? I would even give you a petty example. If you just asked me, I won't say who, but certain people I hate in esports, like work with them on an event. Mate, you could put a million zeros on there. I'm going to keep thinking, I fucking hate that person, though. In the same way, Richard, is if I really loved someone, no amount of zeros would make you go on, then another zero, chop their head off. Like, I know what you mean. That if the feeling is real, the feeling, it's why here's the difference, I think, between what Caedrel went through and what a pleb thinks. A pleb thinks Caedrel ever sat there and actually had like a dark night of the soul, like, but can I take money for gay people to die? No, he had to think, can I take money knowing this might affect my reputation? That's a very different conversation,
to get away with
Richard.
it.
That is a very different conversation, isn't it? Because the joke is, if it was really he was tortured about the gay people, he'd still be tortured now, mate. That would eat you up inside.
The reason why he said he loved the gay people in the first place was to win the brownie points from his audience, right?
Oh,
it was to get people on.
Is so
it was to get people because it was the right opinion to have. But the thing is that once you have the right opinion to have, you can't, if you walk back on it, people are going to call you out for being fake. And he thought, basically, he just thought he could get it. He was so famous and he was so popular and people would forgive him for anything, that he could have his cake and eat it too. And like, you can't do that. You can't do that.
The most pernicious lie in all of this is that if people took a stand and said no, it wouldn't help anybody. That actually we should engage with the Saudis because eventually they're going to open up their hearts to all of us and how in the West we do things differently and how, you know, gay love is just love. You know, there's no need to preface it. It's just, and it's all going to, and they're going to, oh, wow, shit, man, we never knew. You know, we were like lied to, like, by our religion and stuff. So like now we realize, yeah, actually, this is wicked. Sorry for all the fucking beheadings and wow. Like I've seen Steve Arden set in a muscle vest now. Like I'm fucking like, guys, what? Listen to your argumentation. And if you want to be like an ally, right? Let me tell you what fucking helps, like what actually does move the dial internationally. People standing up and saying, you know what? No, fuck that. And let me tell you how I know this works, because it's worked with every single fucking regime that has done this, right up until a regime that has more money and more influence than any other regime, right? And now all of a sudden, this is the one that actually, it's going to work our way for this one time. I've said it many times. I grew up learning about apartheid in South Africa. And the world came together and said, this is fucking evil, man. Like, you've got a system where black people are being treated as second-class citizens in their own land by white people, white colonizers in some case, and you are telling us this is the right and natural order of things. Fuck you. Fuck you, actually. And the world came together and said, we just will not trade with this country. We will not have concerts in your country. We will not have sporting events in your country. If you want to come back to the fucking global group, you better fix that. That's despicable. It has no place in the fucking modern era. And South Africa were like, fucking hell, we've really shit the bed in this fucking thing. Like, we've lost all of our trade deals. We've lost all of our cultural relevance. The people are getting, like, restless because, like, they can't see their favorite band, or our rugby team can't play anyone internationally. It's over. It's done. And we fixed it, and we fixed it with boycotts.
And by the way, that could have happened this time, too, because if you guys remember, Biden said, I'm going to turn Saudi Arabia into a pariah state. He said it.
He said it, and then he begged them to pump more oil, but whatever. So,
and then he begged them to pump more oil because he needed to get reelected. Well, oh shit. How'd that turn out?
So this is what I mean. It's like what I want to understand is why is it this regime? And here's how I know people are disingenuous. I want to ask the same people that are like doing all this moral relativism about Saudi. Would you go and do a Republican fundraiser? Would you ever utter the immortal phrase, "But conservatives buy sneakers too"? Would you ever do it? And you wouldn't. And you would come out and you would have a laundry list of reasons as to why you wouldn't do it. Would you go and do a benefit right now for the people that died on October 7th in Israel? You wouldn't. And I know why you wouldn't.
Would you?
You'd have a laundry list.
You could put this even simpler, Richard. How much does it cost for Caedrel to wear a MAGA hat on stream? That is not bad. Compared to sports
or have Andrew Tate on his stream, etc.
Sure.
By the way, again, everyone in esports. By the way, this is also what's so boring about all you whataboutism people. You all lost your mind over a tweet about Andrew Tate. Yeah. You're the ones now going, why is it a big deal?
Spoiler, I guarantee you, Carlos does not even know Andrew Tate the way he represented it. Like when I did that interview with him, I asked him that question a bunch of times. How well do you know the Tates? And he was like,
a few times,
we're friends. Come on, bro.
By the way, the joke of the video is he's essentially doing like where the guy who's the fucking loser at the party tries to get girls in the background, like, hey, I'm maybe with them, but they're not really. Like, he was doing like the fake Instagram picture, basically. So first of all, that was completely overblown. And then the joke is half the people who got mad about that work directly for the Saudis or go to Riyadh at the moment right now.
Yeah.
But I actually have a bigger point that they're making. The most disingenuous point anyone has made is the Team Liquid argument. Because I've seen now loads of people who are left-wing people and consider themselves moral arbiters make this argument. It goes like this, Monty, and it's rich as fuck for the three people in this call. The notion goes, well, you see, when someone does and believes things you think are bad or wrong, you shouldn't make them a pariah because that will push them away. You know, exactly what you all did to Carlos, by the way. Yeah. No, what you should do is you should engage with them in discourse and dialogue, and over time, via education, they can come to... Well, by that logic, you'll have never cancelled any of the people on this call because we were all endemic people to esports, put our whole adult lives in. You must, when you saw us going off the rails, want us to come back in the fold, right? All you left-wing people must have done the opposite of a cancellation. You must have had an intervention and actually figured out a path back for me, for Richard, for Monty, for Hacks, all those people. You must want us all back in the scene because it's really... Oh, no, wait a second. We don't have billions to spend, so fuck us. We go into the fucking wilderness. We have to get kicked out of the mega city. We're with fucking Mad Max and all them fuckers. No, it's the... Wait, it checks notes. It's the people killing people we need to engage with and bring into the fold. I think you've given the game away, mate. Yeah. You've given the game away on that one because your behaviour has shown for the last 20 years that you do the opposite over the most minor, not even actual moral infractions or illegal shit. Just like you didn't like someone's jib, basically. But then when an actual murderer...
Let's be real. Comes along, you guys got cancelled because somebody compared... foreign imports into a league to termites in a house, and there was a Reddit thread saying that by comparing humans to termites, you were using explicit Nazi rhetoric, and that, by the way, that wasn't a fringe opinion.
The funniest part about that as well is if you remember the context, Monty, I was actually meaning it in a positive sense that I wanted like that Western team to be full of Korean players and just call the fucking Korean. So the real joke is it didn't even make sense. Like as an internal logic for the disc. But I agree, that's a classic one.
So, look, to bring it round, and then we've got to get into the LS debate before we wrap up the show. I think, look, why is it just coincidentally the one entity that has all of the money? In fact, actually, it's not coincidentally all of the money. You're all dead silent on the Uyghur Muslims in China. We all know why. Sure. All roads lead to China.
Richard, what's so wild about this whole debate?
Why can't you?
Yeah, of course. This is what people say. People are like, well, Monty, how come you never talk about the Uyghurs? I'm like, we do. Yep. We're the only ones doing it.
By the way, it's my favorite thing to do. Right, Richard, you just hate Muslims. Definitely do not, right? And live in Birmingham.
By the way, isn't that even an obvious thing? Isn't that an obvious thing that shows that and this is appropriate, that the emperor has no clothes? Yeah. If China and the Communist Party don't have anything to do with Riot and don't have anything to do with League of Legends, then why can't we simultaneously have events there and watch LPL and talk about the Uyghurs? Why can't we just do it all? Remember, if it's not a big deal, why? The joke is the fact that you know you can't, and inherently, as you're listening to this, you know you can't.
Yeah.
That gives the game away again. It doesn't need to be said explicitly.
The Hong Kong thing.
So whenever anyone goes, the only reason you're against Saudi is you're a fucking Zionist, fucking Muslim hater. I just go, but why then did I do all these videos on the Uyghur Muslim genocide? Why did I wear the? Why am I here with the free Hong Kong, free Tibet, free the Uyghurs t-shirts in these videos?
But people,
why am I doing that? Why am I saying these?
But Monty, why don't you talk about the teams? It's like I did talk about the teams. I did talk about how the teams are responsible. I talked about how the developers are responsible.
Do you know the obvious
this is the latest thing.
Here's the other thing you guys are missing. If you just literally listen to what they're saying, you get what they really want. What they mean is just stop talking about this topic. I like that guy.
Yeah.
So what they mean is, hey, wait a minute, why aren't you talking about the Uyghurs and that? What, during the EWC discussion about Caedrel literally taking the bag and working for them? Like, well, what would that have to do with the Xinjiang area of fucking China, though? Yeah. What they really mean is just stop talking about that topic. I like him, he's cool.
No, but
it's also to make themselves feel better because they're like, I want to watch EWC. I want to watch EWC. But, if China's not a big deal, then EWC can't be a big deal either. And it's like, well, there are layers, there's layers of abstraction with the China issue. And we've also talked directly about how China, Tencent is controlled by the CCP, how, Riot is controlled by Tencent. And clearly they are not as autonomous as they like to say. So yes, I do think the Chinese government, this is what we talked about. How many more times can we say Vanguard is a terrible idea because the CCP could have access to your fucking computer? That is terrible.
But did you see what happened as well with the Washington Post journalists with TikTok, where it was just they were just listening to the fucking journalists naming sources and shit. Like, mental. So, yeah.
Least surprising thing ever, by the way.
Vanguard 100% doing that. But look, just to get into the LS stuff, just before we do, no one is criticizing Caedrel for taking a bag. No one is criticizing Caedrel for being a core streamer at one of the biggest events on the calendar all of a sudden. Nobody is criticizing Caedrel for even evolving his opinions to maybe realize, like, let's say he was one of these guys who came out, look, man, every government is fucked. I don't care. Okay. And he just adopted some sort of insane nihilist position. The problem everybody has with the Caedrel deal, and indeed everyone that's ever made this insane Faustian pact, is this. You said something was core to your values. We now realize it isn't. In that moment, though, are you going to just admit it was never about this for me? I'm never going to walk the walk on that particular issue. I like money. I'm here to make money, and I'm here to be able to retire and live an opulent lifestyle. And if gays have to get killed to enable me to do that, whatever. Just say that. Just say that, because, by the way, you would be in line with probably like 80% of the global population. Terrifyingly.
Here's the other argument, Richard, is he's like, he could say, well, I need this money for Los Ratones to keep this functioning.
He did say that.
We could, okay, well, here's the argument. Why do you need to run a team? Why?
Well,
why? If it's a terrible business,
because why shouldn't I get to have a team? It's the same thing again.
If it's a fucking terrible business that is losing money to the degree that you have to take blood money to support it,
I'm also going to tell you something nobody at home will believe, but I know it in my soul to be true. It came to me in a vision. There are no sources. I've never talked to Caedrel about this, but I just know it about every big streamer. They are terrified of the day the audience walks away. They're terrified of the day they turn that stream on and a 40,000 viewership has dropped to 3,000.
It's not about streamers. That's the nature of fame, Richard. That's just the nature of fame.
Sure, but this is how I know it to be true in my soul. I've written about sports all my lifetime. I've seen Evander Holyfield fucking brutalize himself in the ring well past his fucking prime, fight after fight after fight, because he just loves to hear the fucking audience chant his name. And now he's got fucking CTE and he can't, one of the most charismatic heavyweight boxers of all time can't even string a fucking sentence together, just a mess of slurs and stammers, right? But like, yeah, people are terrified of the day the fucking audience goes away, the day they put down their box and speakers corner, stand up, go to orate, and everyone's too busy listening to something else. And this is why he has a fucking League of Legends team, because a League of Legends team can always have fans. As long as I always have popular players and I'm running it, then I will always be popular by extension. I will always be able to insert myself into the conversation. Equally, am I going to take a stand on something like this that could have ramifications for my career? No, because like you said, Monty, Caedrel knows his limitations. But I think his limitations are imagined. But in his mind, the construct he has of himself is ultimately, yeah, I can't go and do a normal job, and I haven't made quite enough money to really be set for life, and I'm only 29. I don't want to be fucking 40 and having to get an office job and having people say to me, oh, aren't you Caedrel, that streamer?
One thing we haven't been explicit about, but this is also, you guys know this from knowing these people, if you talk to people like LS Storm, Caedrel, etc., I can tell you right now, even though to me as an outsider, this is so insanely reductive, I would never think this way, and I think it's just like fucking scarcity mindset. They would even literally say, Monty, yeah, but whoever does the core stream instead of me of EWC might start to gain on me because I've got my stream off. It's basically that stupid hustle mindset of like when you're asleep, your enemy is lifting and working out. Exactly. It's that mentality.
That's true.
It is true. Here's the thing. It is on a minor level. In fact, actually, that touched on a bigger topic we didn't bring up, which he clearly did hint at. He just didn't say it overtly. He said, in the past I just said it was a Mickey Mouse format. I think it'd be a one-off. The real giveaway is that, Monty. Here's the other reason Caedrel did this event this year. Because why not rip the Band-Aid off now? He knows now it's going to be an event every year. It's going to get bigger every year. As it gets bigger, like I said about being the costume, you're right. This time, by the way, I'm right. It wouldn't actually kill Caedrel as number one to not do EWC this time. But I'll tell you what, if he can never do it, Monty, and then his main rival, it might even be someone else next year. Who knows, right? Could be someone else could rise up. If that becomes like the second or third biggest event in League, then eventually it does start to impact him. And at some point, eventually he'd have to break anyway, wouldn't he? So to him, it's like, why not break now at the beginning? That's even one thing I do. I'll tell you the part I take the most umbrage about Caedrel's response stream the first day of the event or the day before, whatever it was. My biggest umbrage is this, Monty. It is that he didn't actually have to do any of the things you said. He never had to say, I don't care about KP. He could have just turned the stream on and said, listen, guys, I talk about video games. League of Legends is my main game. This is a League of Legends tournament. It is what it is. You think whatever you want. But here's why he didn't do that, Monty. This is where even Caedrel showed you fame is a fucking mask that eats the face. It is a disease, fame. Because he had to say that bit at the end of the video, Monty, that was so beyond the pale, where he dared to turn to his audience and simultaneously say, look, you guys can have whatever opinion you want. But if you choose to leave my stream, I'm paraphrasing here, essentially, you have to keep the same energy towards everyone else in the whole scene that you're doing to me now. It's like, that is the most... That showed at the end, Monty, he never got it. At the end of the whole thing, he never understood it. Because why would I have to turn to Yamato Cannon, who made nothing from the event, and keep the same energy to him as you, making literally like people's entire year's salary in one day? Like, why would I have to do that? What that means, again, Monty, to bring it all the way back, is like, but this is unfair. I should get to have everything I want, and I should get to have all the fun and all the money and all the thing. And you know what? At the end of it, don't dare take my praise away.
Any more than anyone else.
I also have to get all my praise at the end as well. It's like, mate, this is egotism, and that's narcissism, bro. That's that part, and the rest of it I can forgive, or I can imagine it misguided. That part was a bit dark.
The only thing I'll add to that, Duncan, is I do understand the fear. I do get it. I do understand. All of us have it, right? Like, all the jokes about, oh, you're washed and irrelevant. Oh, it's a barb. It fucking will sting you if you actually believe it to be true about yourself. And one of the saddest things I ever saw. Again, sorry, Monty. Me and Duncan are going to do that Northeast Brit thing again. But right, the movie Purely Belter, right? You remember it about the kid who wants to get a ticket to go and see Newcastle United, the game. Yeah, right. Well, anyway, this is such a bonkers story. Never told this one before, but whatever. So anyway, Purely Belter was like this bizarrely popular movie in like 2000, which was for like football. It was all this like kid movies coming of age, like Bend It Like Beckham was there and all that fucking stuff. Purely Belter.
What Billy, whatever.
Yeah, Billy Elliot, the ballet one. Yeah,
Yeah.
So it was a trend, and Purely Belter was basically one based in Newcastle about Geordies. Geordies are known for being like, big personalities, funny, like fucking hell, you can't understand the word they're saying and all that stuff. And anyway, they made their own movie. Purely Belter in Geordie means like really good, and so it'd be fucking Purely Belter if we can guarantee the fucking game, man. Well, anyway, it was about these two kids. And one of the kids was a big fat lad, and the other kid was like a skinny lad. And the fat lad was the funny one, but he was also a bit violent, a bit rougher than the other one. That guy was called Sewell in the movie Purely Belter. He's a guy called Greg. And I know this because I worked with Greg in a call center. I was at probably the bottom of my life, but I can't imagine how he felt. He had been in a mainstream movie and had to go into call center work. And like, if you're an actor, you never think you're out. You're like, it's just one phone call away. But he had motherfucking bills to pay. Who knows? He probably got paid fuck all for the role. Probably spunked all that away like he was a young lad. You know, I mean, he's saying he's a young lad. He was the same age as I was. But by the time we collided in the call center, I think we were born in the same year. But anyway, bro, his life was a horrifying window. Like, I'd done nothing in esports at that moment in time, but he used to come in and he looked fucking suicidal, man. Like, his average day was not something I envied. And all the lads were just fucking going, shut up, Sewell, fucking come in. Like, everybody knew him from the film.
Oh, God.
Yeah, bro, it was fucking unreal. And anyway, his life was just terrifying. And he'd done it. Like, by the way, I don't think he's ever been in another film. So that was, I don't even know how many fucking years ago that is now, right? Maybe 20 years ago. But he's never been in another film. So he's probably out there at another call center, grateful for the fact that everyone forgot he was in this fucking movie that was popular for 8 weeks in Britain. But, I mean, like, that's what all streamers are terrified of, man. Like, by the way, do you remember when streamers are big? They just have it. And then they just don't. Remember when we all had Ninja Mania and he's doing like Super Bowl commercials?
That's just entertainment, mate. That's just entertainment.
Of course it is. But like, I've always said it, I'd rather be fucking slow and steady wins the race. I'd rather have a small audience that wants to listen to me all the motherfucking time than some audience that are like just picking me out for like some temporary fad. I don't want to be the I didn't do it boy off the fucking Simpsons, like, but I think inside of every streamer, but not every streamer, but most of the ones that get popular, like insanely popular, like Caedrel is right now, they kind of realize like this is it, and how long can I stretch this out for? And so you don't rock that boat because the terror is waking up one day, you turn the stream on, and no one turns up, and actually people don't care about what you have to say. Maybe don't talk about issues here. Maybe just shut the fuck up and dribble. Does anyone really care about your opinion on these particular topics?
No. As he himself says, he's uneducated, so...
Probably should shut your fucking mouth, stream the fucking games, just count your fucking cash, and then when you're 40 years old, let's have a chat. Let's have a chat about your big fucking house with your nice fucking car. You're going to have all the shit I don't get because of the decisions I made in my career. So, you know, you tell me if it was a good idea or a bad idea, but like...
By the way, that's even one thing. I make this point in the video, but obviously it's not the central thing, and it's a long video. Maybe people didn't get to this point. But the real joke about all this is... If I had one piece of advice in a time machine, I wouldn't tell everyone, go back and don't do the event. I'd say, just go back and never say anything except about the video game, you fucking idiot. You do a job where like 10 people in the whole world can do it, and if you're 11th, you just don't get to be at the event. You have to be at the events, otherwise, by definition, you don't do the job. You are only what you do, not what you imagine you do. And at the end of the day, you are just literally children's entertainers who talk about a fucking video game. Maybe just stay in your lane and talk about the video game.
Exactly.
Instead, you've all tried to do this thing where you're all acting like you're already like fucking Bono and you're at the height of you two and you can make a political statement. You can't. Bono can still fucking book a theatre out, mate, whether or not. In this scenario, they put someone else in your seat if you choose not to do
unless,
it.
Duncan, unless you're the type of fucking sicko who gun to your head, do you really love gays? I'm going to pull the trigger if you say no. If you're the type of motherfucker to still
I don't believe that anyone like that exists. Though. Well, there's the rare examples, and then the people who had to stand down. And by the way, some of them will never work in esports, or they'll work in small esports or on the fringes. Yeah, there are a few people. There are a few rare people.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If you're that type of motherfucker, then have at it. Right? But then again, if you're that type of motherfucker, you're never going to have to walk back any opinion you ever held ever in your life. Or
by the way, the other reason why this is also so stupid is, I always say this, there's only two groups of people in esports consistently print money and never lose money. Game developers and the pro players. They're the ones that, like, the pro player, by the way, also actually in esports, despite the fact it's technically illegal in California, have almost no say where they actually work and what events they go to. Even though if anyone ever did look into the PEA thing, that was actually the entire powder keg. They're lucky didn't blow up in their face. Because actually, when you have someone as a contractor, you can't just start telling them where they work and at what time and stuff, it turns out. But anyway, that never got put through the courts, unfortunately. There's also the Tfue thing with that as well, if you remember. But the other thing that people miss is the number one person you should blame if you're unhappy that EWC takes place with a murderous regime is fucking Riot Games. They have a godlike power to grant the license, and they aren't just allowing it at this point in time. As pointed out by people like Monty and Richard, it's almost intimated behind the scenes. They're going, and we could arrange a meeting with a Mr. Caedrel for you for your core stream. That is almost implied that that's part of the service at this point in time, isn't it? Come on. And the difference is, Monty,
the faker stuff is fucking wild.
I don't worry, I've got a video on that coming soon. They can also 100% do without the Saudi money, mate. They have an actual golden goose that spits out fucking eggs for faker skins, bro. Like, they don't need the money at all. But the joke is, Riot gets to be a monolith with almost no criticism, and Caedrel takes all the pies to the face. That's also the nature of the business.
And also on that faker issue, just quickly, like, faker gets to be based as hell for refusing to use skins, but he loves MBS. He loves MBS. Says he's like one of his top 3 celebrities to have dinner
and now
with.
he's taking.
There's going to be a video on this topic. It obviously won't be a 1.5 hour date. He literally physically was the one in the photo op shaking the hands of the Red Sea guy or whatever the fuck to do the deal. Like, he's directly connected. But as I pointed out, this is why I'm going to do the video on it, he never gets a speck of dirt tarnishing his image somehow.
But I'll also add, he never came out and said, I love the gays, did he? So, he's insulated
because the real
himself
joke
from
there,
some
Richard,
criticism.
the real joke there is if I had sodium pentothal and a camera, I could show you what Faker actually thinks, and spoiler, he would have worse opinions than Carlos on certain things. But we all have to pretend that doesn't exist. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.